Hey everybody, this is Zachary Jeans, and this is Your Impact Matters. It's a conversation with the guests and the individuals who come on to help lead Impact Matters chat every Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we talk about the methods and the means and the mindsets that help organizations and individuals be successful. And some of those things aren't necessarily data-driven, but we all know they work. Some of them are. Today we have a really amazing guest. Her name is Andrea Waltz, and she is a co-author of Go for No, and it's all about overcoming your fear of rejection and having success through that process, right? Fail forward. So Andrea will be leading us here on Monday as we talk about rejection and how to overcome it. I know I struggle with rejection, and I also know that my personal success has been when I have been able to overcome rejection. So really excited to have Andrea. Andrea, could you introduce yourself? Could you let us know who you are and a little bit more than my little thumbnail that I just gave?
Absolutely. Although I loved your thumbnail sketch. That was beautifully done. Thank you. Yes. So my name's Andrea Waltz. Again, my company is called Courage Crafters. My husband and I are business partners, and we launched Courage Crafters actually because we met at Lens Crafters, the eyeglass retailer.
Nice.
Yes. So we kind of decided that would be a good takeoff for our company. And when we left our corporate jobs and started our own training and speaking company, we really didn't have much of a safety net. We really didn't have much of a plan. I don't recommend this to people to do, but we built our company basically teaching sales, management skills, customer service, things that at the time our target audience, our ideal client was large retail organizations. That's who we worked with. But of everything that we did back then, speaking and training wise, there was one little topic that people loved that they said made such a difference, made such an impact on them when we would do like an 8-hour training day. And it was this idea of go for no. So after about 10 years of being trainers kind of in the retail space, we decided that we would expand our business and really focus on this idea, this problem, which is people's fear of failure, people's fear of rejection, and make it, instead of just in one industry, it's industry wide. And we have spoken to probably every different kind of company you can imagine. I've done podcasts and trainings with fundraisers. Anyone that has to ask for anything in life and be in a position to hear the word no is fundamentally somebody who needs the go for no philosophy in their life or in their business or both.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great story. Now I'm curious. So starting out a business, you yourself, having worked in the corporate environment and with your husband, I love meeting husband-wife teams that were working together in some sort of corporate capacity. I was just hanging out with a couple who had done that with Accenture and had jumped and gone on to start their own company. And then I had met another couple years ago who they left a large consulting firm and then went sailing, and they were like, hey, well, we got to do something. So they started a software implementation company. I love stories like that. What was the genesis of you wanting to leave? I mean, clearly you have a passion around, sales training and wanting to help people do that better, for a better experience and so forth. And that matured into Go for No and dealing with rejection. But what was the thing that gave you the courage to start Courage Crafters?
Well, I think for both Richard and I, we were super passionate about our message. And, when you work at a corporate job, it was kind of like our passion, speaking, training, doing those kind of things was in the day-to-day really a small piece of the job. So the rest was kind of, everything else and administrative. And I was working actually in the stores. So I was running a store environment. And one day Richard comes to me and he says, the company brings in trainers from the outside. They bring in experts from the outside of the organization. They hire speakers. We could be those people. And we had so many topics and things we wanted to share and that we were passionate about. We said, yeah, absolutely, that's what we should do. And so that's really why we did it. And that passion, luckily, was what fueled us. And so when you ask the question about what gave us the courage, as far as I was concerned, it was ever regret not doing it. I didn't want to regret not trying it. And so it was worth the attempt. And we actually, quite frankly, thought, we were like, hey, we'll give this 6 months. That's about what we had in terms of cash on hand. So it's kind of like, if it works, great. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. We'll go back, and we'll find something new.
Wow. That's amazing. I love stories like that. And wow. So go for no. Let's talk about rejection. Clearly, you've been so gracious with your time. I'm not going to have you do an entire, 8-hour training smashed into, 15 minutes here. But we will be talking about the subject of rejection through a series of 10 questions on Monday, obviously, and exploring that with folks. I wanted to give you a chance to surface a couple things that, I'm sure you'll answer as you're answering in the Twitter chat, but maybe won't surface out the same way that you could hear in a conversation. What are a couple things around rejection that you find yourself always addressing first?
What a great question that is. I love that. And yeah, so probably one of the biggest things is that just the title, the idea of the go for no philosophy. People immediately think, go for no. Why do I want to hear no? I want to hear yeses, right? I want people to say yes to my ideas. I want people to say yes to my request for maybe a higher salary or a fundraising request or closing the sale, right? We all want yeses. So probably the biggest question is, gosh, it sounds so negative and I don't understand. And what the fundamental underlying philosophy is if you avoid situations where you're going to hear no, if you do everything within your power to avoid rejection, it is in the doing of that actually also has you avoid opportunities to hear yes. So you can't have one without the other. They're opposite sides of the same coin. And so we tell salespeople, for example, and that's primarily who, as I said, we've spoken to all kinds of organizations, but
sure.
Salespeople, it's super appropriate. And we tell them, hey, if you want to get more yeses, you have to be willing to hear more no's. You can't be hiding from them. You can't be hoping that you're, somehow going to go through the process, avoid rejection, but get all the yeses you want. So the go for no piece is go out there, get those no's, and in the process, the yeses will be there for you.
Wow. Yeah. So really the go for no strategy is built into the title, and that you have to get folks to realize that to achieve the success that they desire is not to avoid rejection, but rather to move through the rejection towards the yes, towards the success. So when you're teaching this concept, is there maybe an anecdotal story that you use? Is there some way in which you might describe how this process works? Is there a metaphor or something you could give to us to show us how this might work?
Yes, actually there's a couple. There's one in the book that is kind of what we say the signature story is. And I actually won't tell that story because I have a better analogy for you. The analogy that I love is you picture going to a networking meeting, and let's say you're trying to meet new people for whatever your purpose, right? Whatever your end game is. But what happens is, so we go to the networking meeting and you have 10 conversations and you come home with 10 business cards. Now the go for yes salesperson, they get home, they have their 10 business cards and they're thinking on the ride home, I'm going to go back to, home, and I'm going to call all these 10 people tomorrow, and it's going to be great, and I'm going to pitch them, right, whatever it is. By the next day, they wake up and they look at the 10 business cards, and now all of a sudden they're thinking, well, now wait a minute. I don't necessarily think all 10 of these people are going to say yes. In fact, and they start going through the 10 cards and they say, 5 of these people, I bet you they're just going to say no. So they take those 5 business cards and they just set them off to the side, right? So now they have 5 left. So now they say, well, of these 5, I had nice conversations with these people, but I remember these 3 people. And I don't know, they're probably a maybe. Like, I don't know if they're probably not a no, but they're probably a maybe. So I'm just going to set those aside. So now they have 2 business cards left, and they say, now these 2 people, we had a connection, we had a good conversation, so I'll go ahead and I'll call these people. Now, here's the funny thing, and I'm sure you're already ahead of me here, but
sure.
You call those 2 people, and maybe they say yes and maybe they say no. We don't know, right? We think we do, right? We have this, like, we go through, we think about the conversation, we hope that they do, but you never know. But what ends up happening is those 8 other people usually never get called. They're kind of the ones where we're protecting ourselves from rejection. We're protecting ourselves from the no. So the maybes and the no's. The irony, though, Zachary, is that the 2 people that you decided were the yeses could be the no's, and the 2 people that you were convinced that were going to be no's could be yeses, but you don't know. So one of the big lessons in Go for No that I say to people all the time, and it is the thing that kills opportunity in every area of your life, is you can't make assumptions.
Wow.
Right? You can't do that analysis of, well, this person will and this person won't. We do that because of that protection and that not wanting to feel rejected.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm sitting here thinking also, in the world that I operate in, a lot of it is around Salesforce.com. Salesforce, the platform, which is CRM, customer relationship management, marketing technology, different platforms that are all about connecting with your customer for their success and so forth. And so in the process of, deciding who you're going to contact, you have lead scoring, right? And lead scoring is just a digital layover of that process. You just talked about a salesperson driving home from a networking event, going through their mind, okay, this lead is worth talking to, this one probably not so much, that one definitely not. And I love how you're illuminating that really when they're lead scoring, they're doing it around their own personal psychology, their concept of rejection. And in the Salesforce world or in a CRM world, they would be doing it around, in their mind, the way they'd be justifying it is they'd be saying, well, look, I gotta spend my time effectively. I don't want to waste time on clearly obvious bad leads, or just ineffective stuff. So I'm not going to call them. Right. And so that kind of brings up in my mind that's just one of many things that we tell ourselves. What are some common things that you hear people say when they, or maybe that you've discovered that we tell ourselves about not wanting to be rejected? What are the ways that we get out of it like that? In this case, it's just, it's a waste of time. Sure.
Well, it is a wide variety of things, right? It's whatever excuse I think kind of fits the bill, and it all goes back to the protection. So it could be, I don't want to waste my time. And I want to back up here just for a minute. I know we're kind of getting down into the weeds a little, but it's a great conversation. Yeah. Certainly, I think and this is part of Go for No as well, which is the disqualification process, right? So it's be willing to ask the tough question and get the no as early as possible. So if you're selling landscaping services, gardening services, and someone lives in an apartment building and they have no landscaping, you want to find that out right away. The sooner you find out that they have absolutely no need for your service, the better. Yeah. So getting that no quickly is one thing. So you have that up front, and then you have the where you really don't know and you're not sure if somebody's qualified. And so there's all of those nuances that salespeople have to deal with. But going to your question of excuses, I think the big ones that is definitely, I don't have the time. Also, I think there's money issues. This company doesn't have this to spend, or I'm not a big enough company, or I'm not a skilled enough salesperson to call on Microsoft or to call on whomever.
Right.
It's all of those type of things. And sometimes it gets even deeper, and it's going to be fun to do this in the chat. Sometimes it's just basic fear. And I tell people, you have to give yourself permission to fail. Bless you. You have to give yourself permission to fail. You have to be okay with and getting a no, and maybe not doing a perfect presentation, or maybe having a call that doesn't go right. There's some psychology around that fear, which is just at the end of the day, if you don't have any more excuses and you're ready and you're sitting there and you want to pick up the phone, then it just becomes, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. There's too much anxiety. And so that's where we have to deal with the fear of failure, and that fear of wanting to be perfect. So there's all these layers that you kind of have to work through.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And I do know that our Impact Matters community will dig into this big time. The Impact Matters community is comprised of a really wide variety of folks. We have folks that are school administrators, teachers. We have technologists, people who implement software or develop it. We have traditional managers inside larger, retail outlets, stores, people that do leadership training as a career, that do executive training. So we have such a wide variety of folks that come together at Impact Matters to talk about these issues, really wide variety of issues, and always attack it from sort of a leadership mindset, but really digging in personally. So I know that you're going to get lots of opportunity to apply some of these concepts to, a second grade teacher, who has a question, how do I go for no with my students? You're going to have a leadership coach, that does this sort of thing for a living, but maybe hadn't seen, oh, wow, that's a new way to attack rejection, and they'll probably have a deeper question about how to do that. So I'm excited for you and for Go for No to have an impact that matters in Impact Matters. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. And I love that because it challenges me to help people apply it. And I learned so much by watching people apply it in different areas. I remember one company we worked with, facility management, and I said, why are you guys interested in Go for No? And they said, because our people have to go and always ask for money and resources. And just in the asking, it was the issue. So it's just learning to ask and being willing to ask. Wow.
So let me ask you a personal question. So for Go for No, this is something you teach, you live, you breathe, you eat. I mean, it's what you've been doing for a while. And I don't know, how long have you been doing Go for No?
We wrote the first book. We wrote the book, I should say, back in 2000. So we've been training this for 17 years.
Wow.
But even before that, Richard had been teaching it because it's his strategy, his philosophy. Yeah. I mean, he'd been teaching it on, 10 years before that. So, I mean, we've been kind of living it now for a while.
Wow. Yeah. So how are you experiencing Go for No in your own business? Have you found that, it's easy to serve the champagne, but it's a whole nother thing to drink it yourself? Like, have you experienced that, or are you kind of like been through this enough where you've already overcome all the rejection issues? Do you go through rejection yourself where you're like, wait a minute, I'm writing this in the book, but man, this is tough stuff. This isn't working the way I want it to.
Absolutely. In fact, Richard always says that he could never have written Go for No if he didn't need it himself, if it wasn't like one of his biggest issues. So he's very much tapped into it. Now, I will say this, over the years and talking about it and doing it, I have fundamentally, I feel we both have pretty much mastered
Right.
our emotions in regard to rejection, because you do when you're I love the term serving champagne, you do learn it. But I remember when he even taught me the philosophy, I thought I was a great salesperson. And then I had to get honest with myself and realize, you know what? I don't like to hear the word no. Like, I had to really get honest, because I was such a service person, but then I didn't want to ever be one of those pushy salespeople.
Right.
And so there was a lot of that kind of stuff going on that I had to learn.
Wow.
And it's an ongoing process. Absolutely.
Sure. That's great. So thank you, Andrea, so much. We are really looking forward to our conversation on Twitter here on Monday. And of course, everybody knows that these videos, they persist out in the internet, and we'll all be able to watch all of these on the Your Impact Matters channel here. We are entering the summer, and so I am looking for guests, always looking for guests. And so if you know somebody that's inspired you, like Andrea Waltz has, in my case, I love Go for No. It's a great book. Definitely get it, buy it. It'll be awesome. It'll help you overcome a lot of rejection and have more success in your career. But if you find folks that are like Andrea, go ahead and pass them my way. I'd love to interview them, love to have them on Impact Matters and have them facilitate a conversation. So thank you so much, Andrea, for coming on Impact Matters. How can they get in contact with you if they are interested in going for no?
Absolutely. Well, it's my pleasure. I love chatting about this. I'm so excited. It's easy. Zachary, we have made it so easy. It's goforno.com. So,
There you go.
and it's spelled out just GOFORNO.com. And the book is there, and the book is also on Amazon. So if people are Amazon shoppers, like everyone tends to be these days, they can grab a copy there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. We're going to go ahead and say goodbye and hope that everybody is having a great week. And we'll see you every Monday, Impact Matters, hashtag on Twitter, at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.